again. Raheem, we are. So yes, I think those moments when we are just present, unplugged, literally from our devices, maybe from each other sometimes, and we're just purely in the moment, just being is where we find our peace and where we can connect with that life with a capital L that I was talking about in our opening prayer. I find that I have my most frustration and I get into the most trouble and have the most stress is when I have way too many expectations of life or others, usually of others, because I just want people to do what I want them to do, the way that I want them to do it, the amount of time that I want them to do it. It's not the way it works. Why not? Oh, start at the time I want you to start it. End it at the time I want you to end it. And it needs to come out looking as pretty as I would make it look in the end. And darn it, life doesn't show up like that for me 99.9% of the time. And so I have been working lately on expectation. And I know that when I'm in expectation, I am throwing something forward in life. And I've got this narrow focus on something. And I'm rigid in what I am looking for. I'm probably feeling rigid. I'm probably hanging on, again, white-knuckling it, knowing that I want it like that. And actually demanding that of life on some level. And so part of my work has always been to just unclench my fist and be in the moment. Be in the moment, not expecting anything to happen. And not in a bad way, like I don't expect good things to happen. I mean, I do, and that is always my frame of mind. That's my paradigm of the world, that the world is good and there is goodness all around, and yet still I expect things to happen. I want things to happen like I want. And I know it's about wanting to be in control of things and knowing that that things are going to turn out the way I want them because I need them to do that for my comfort. And one of the other things I'm working on lately is being comfortable with my discomfort, with not knowing what's going to happen, with not knowing how things are going to turn out, with not knowing how somebody else is going to conquer something or what they're even going to think about something that is before us. Because I have it in my mind what things should look like and what they're all about, and yet somebody else with a totally different mindset that comes from a different place, that has different baggage, different expectations, different wants and needs, will see the same thing totally different than I do. I got to see that on a regular basis when I was investigating discrimination complaints for the federal government. And I would have a group of witnesses and a complainant, and we were all looking at the same circumstance, the same occurrence. And every one of those people saw that same thing differently. Every last one of them. It was interesting how somebody could look at one situation, be really upset about it, and inflamed with it, and just emotionally overwhelmed with it. And the other person is thinking, well, that, it's just the way things go, and that's how we do things. And so I don't understand what the problem is. And actually the problem is that I'm here again having to talk about this when it shouldn't be a problem. And so now that's a problem for me, that I have this problem that somebody else gave me, and that's what that was about. And so it was interesting watching people in those circumstances. I did that for 20 years, and every single time it was a new experience watching people and watching myself watch them and watching my own reactions to a circumstance or an occurrence. Expectations, and we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them. We just want the world to be the way we want the world to be. We want people to be the way we want people to be. We want our relationships, our jobs, whatever it is. We want traffic to be the way we want it to be. Things over which we have no control, we have expectations for. And they can be small or they can be huge. As I was contemplating all of this, I started to think about, or wonder, what do the Buddhists think about this? So this is from Dharma Wisdom. Expectations turn up in many forms, from what we expect of ourselves to what others expect of us and we of them. We may have high, low, or even negative expectations. You also have large expectations and thousands of small expectations that arise in your life every day. Your large expectations have their own unique expression, but are the result of the common strivings every human undergoes. As you learn to free yourself from these larger expectations, you can start to notice the smaller ones and not allow them to define your daily experience. That's where I get in trouble. They start to define my experience. You may expect that certain efforts will yield desired results, or believe you can be in control of your life, or be totally convinced that the so-called good life must have particular components. You may be enslaved by your expectations of what defines a good marriage, a good person, or success. More than likely, you expect to behave in a manner you know is right, and you expect to be treated similarly. Left unnoticed, these expectations become all-powerful. Just think of the amount of suffering, yours and the suffering of others, that comes from these unrecognized expectations. It is a call for mindfulness and for choosing not to be defined by expectations. Expectations are almost always the result of what in Buddhism is called wanting mind. This wanting mind is driven by desire, aversion, and anxiety. It creates an illusion of solidity and control in a world that is constantly changing and unfolds independently of how we believe it should. The world doesn't work the way we want it to work. And yet I, and maybe some of you, are having tantrums every day about what's not happening. Darn it. We're sitting in our expectations. So I've been thinking a lot about how do I flip the switch. I talk about flipping the switch a lot. How do I do this differently? How can I show up differently? Because it's mine to do. I wish it was about you doing it the way I want you to do. I really wish it was. And yet we have no control over anybody else but ourselves. Most of us have trouble controlling ourselves, let alone someone else. And so I've decided I need to learn how to love people where they are, as they are. That's tall order some days. And love what they do as they do it. love what they do as they do it. And so I think I'm called to just sit in the moment where I feel that tension, because that expectation is still there. Why aren't they? Why aren't they? You're still thinking, why aren't they? And then you think, I can breathe here. I can just breathe. And the answer to why aren't they is because they're different than I am. They are a different, unique expression of the divine than I am. And they may do it differently, but it doesn't make it bad. That's the problem. We throw judgment on top of our expectation. And if it doesn't happen like we want it to happen, we call it bad. And then we call them bad. And then we call them bad. And then maybe we're kicking ourselves for having the expectation. Having expectations is probably human. It's what we do. We see the world, we got all this stuff going on in our head. We have plans, we have intentions, we have all this stuff going on, and we just want something to work. And yet I do believe when I sit down and I take a breath, I realize that it is happening as it should happen. I just need to get in the flow with how it's happening, like that reading. Talking about being in the flow and being with the rhythm of what's happening now, being in the moment, as Raheem and Lenin were. Being in the moment. And those were the best moments when I had no attachment to anything, but just enjoying the sunshine, the music of whatever was in nature at that time, nature singing, being with each other in that moment, being in a place and maybe having your breath taken away. That gets to happen when we let go of our expectations and we stop white-knuckling it and just open our hands and ask, what do you have for me in this moment? And being okay that it doesn't look the way you think it should have looked. It's probably going to take me a while to get there. Because I have a lot of expectations. But now I know that. And I am painfully aware of it now. I'm painfully aware of it, but the pain is mine. I was just listening to a reel of Oprah talking about expectation. She said, it's really us, the ones who have the expectations, that suffer, because the other person is just doing what they do, going on about their lives, doing what they do. They're not suffering. They're just doing them. And we're the ones having the tantrum. We're the ones expending our energy. We're the ones who are not in the moment. We're the ones who don't have our arms open with curiosity and joyful surprise about how it did turn out. And maybe we can laugh at it, about how different it is from what I expected, or from what I wanted, or the way I would have done it. Or maybe we think, oh, that's a new way to do that. Or maybe it doesn't have to be done now. Maybe it doesn't have to be done in this moment right now when I want it. It's probably still okay if it happens 5 hours from now. I'll remember that next time the kitchen is dirty or there's dishes in the sink. I'll report to you next week about how that went. The next 6 days.
And it's vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm. Goes both ways.
Yeah, the other person's expecting stuff from you, those too.
Yeah, and how many of us kick and scream about what people expect of us? How many people are uncomfortable because somebody wants us to do something the way they want us to do it, and we are warring against that? And sometimes it is a tantrum where we're just saying, to ourselves, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it because you said it. I'm probably there more often than I want to admit. We get dug in our stuff. And we think we lose some power or something. I don't know, because we end up doing something the way somebody wanted us to do it. And yet we have to rebel. Maybe that comes from something in childhood. I don't know. I don't want to. Can't make me, that's right. I know, I always end up going back to, you ain't my father, you ain't my mother. I didn't listen to them half the time either. Why would I listen to you? But that's where we go. And like Stallings is talking about, when we get out of that rhythm of life, when we're not open to the flow of life, then we're the ones who suffer. And we are so far from our divinity there. We are so far from expressing our highest and best when we are in those moments. We are just so far from who we truly are in those moments. We're regressing into something we don't need to be. And we can feel that because we feel uncomfortable. We're mad, we're frustrated, we're disappointed. Got negative energy all over us. We're feeling it physically. Our blood pressure's probably up. Our breathing's accelerated. Walking around talking to ourselves. I don't understand why they do. I don't understand. You all do it, I do it. Humans are funny creatures, I tell you. We are funny creatures. In the midst of that, we are still divine. In the midst of that, we are still divine, and we can call that up. But most of the time, it just requires that we just relax and let go. Stop being so narrow in what it is we want to see and how we want to see it, and let the world unfold for us. Every single time I let Spirit do it in the way Spirit wants to do it, it's far better than what I could have worked out myself. Far better. Far better. So it really serves us to just breathe and relax and be in the moment. Most of the things I know that I stress about are not important. Not important. And I'm missing moments where I could just be enjoying the sunshine or the quiet of the day, or being in communion with my husband at home. Whatever it is, you can be in that moment enjoying it fully rather than stressing about something else. So that's how we start choosing our experience of life, by relaxing and letting go and just being in the flow and letting life take us where it wants to take us. Because it's really only taking you to your highest and best anyway. Anyway. And I do believe that. I just don't always want it to take control because I keep thinking, I got it figured out. And life would be so much easier, so much more joyful If I would just let go. Let go, let God. Let God, let go. So can we let go of our expectations? Can we let go of our rigidity about how things need to be and about how comfortable we need to be, and finding our comfort only in that rigidity? Can you be comfortable in the unknown, in the present, whichever way it looks, whichever way things turn out, and know that whatever way it turns out, even if we don't know what that is or we don't think we know what to do with that, that we can just take a few more moments and breathe and explore what your divinity can do in that moment, even if it is to just be. Most of the time, there's nothing to do but be. Be the God that you are. Be the light that you are. And then that light, that God beingness of you, affects the situation. Affects the situation. I was talking with Anna Schaus, who's become a mentor of mine. And we were talking about just letting love work in the moment. To answer everything with love. Answer everything with love. Expect only love. And often that doesn't look like what we think it's going to look like. Answer it with love. See only love in whatever transpires, in whatever shows up that we didn't expect. So now I'm switching to setting intentions more often, rather than having expectations. And I'm aiming for this. I have this mindset. I'm stepping forward with this in mind, this paradigm, to see something a certain way and be open and curious about how it will unfold. Set an intention and let it flow. Let the rhythm take me. Step with the rhythm. When the rhythm changes, go with that. Go with that. Yes, let it be. Mm-hmm. And in my darkest hour, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. That's Mother Mary, who is love. Again, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love, 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 right, Patricia? Love, love, love. Yeah. Love, love, love. Let's take this into meditation. Pete said, what?
I said, is that already over? God, get out of here.
Is that an expectation? Or...
No, that's supposed to go. Thank you, God.
So as we settle in with love, love, love. Love has the answer. Love is the answer. Love shows the way. Love is the way. And love flows in when we simply let go. Unclench our fist. So I invite you to think right now, what's something in your life that you have a vice grip on? What is it? Something that you've said it needs to work out like this. I'm uncomfortable. I'm hurting. Somebody did something to me. Somebody's not doing what I want them to do. Something didn't work out the way I wanted it to work. What do you have a vice grip on? And how can you loosen your grip? So I want you to picture that situation, whatever it is, and feel yourself opening up. Feel yourself letting go. Your hands relax. Feeling the blood flow through your fingertips. Your heartbeat relaxing, slowing. Maybe you're breathing a little bit more deeply because you're letting go. You're trusting the all good. You're trusting yourself as the all good. You're trusting divine wisdom to guide you. And as you relax more and more, perhaps a smile is creeping across your face. Your shoulders are relaxing. Your gut's no longer in a knot. Your head doesn't hurt. Your mind is curious about what could transpire now that you've let go. And your imagination, that power of imagination, is open and curious. About the millions of possibilities that the all good could swirl in your direction and surprise you and make you dance with joy. Yes, can we breathe deeply? Exhale. Just exhale and let go. The body will always inhale when we allow ourselves to exhale. When we're sitting in our divinity, there's no need to have a vice grip on anything because all things are ours. All things are ours. You need not want for anything, for all things are yours. The tips of the fingers of your spiritual hands. So we breathe in and exhale. Just relax, it's all good. Inhale, exhale. It's all good. It's all good right here, right now. Divine wisdom is at work in every area of our lives right now. Everything is always working out for us. Everything is always working out for us. And so we say yes and thank you to divine wisdom. Yes and thank you for divine wisdom. And so it is and so it shall be. Amen.